Previously on our Tropic Thunder Adventure.
Our lead rider, bada boom, bada bing, fingers gone! Where's your fuel cap? Okay, go! Nice!
But not as bright and early as our mate Rocket.
Probably shouldn't have even ridden in it.
But nothing could be further from the truth.
Where the are we?
Should we go back?
No! Because this is Tropic Thunder! Queensland invasion. G'day everyone, Artist Wayne here, location unknown, and our mate Gaz the giant man baby has just crashed and had his DR650 fall on top of him.
Don't you know I didn't put that on camera? I went left, I was out of control, and then I went right and I knew it was going to be bad because the bike came straight down on the lower leg and just squashed it. Oh, that hurt.
You want a hand?
I just need to pick your bike up.
You want a hand to get up?
No, just let me see how bad my leg is.
Yeah, we can look after Gary before you get out to the bike.
We'll just put it over there, Brendo. Ready? I'll push. That's it. Santiago, what is this?
This is the first proper crash in the DR, I think.
What is this? What is this?
Drama! Well, I guess the big question was, would Gaz be able to ride out of here? We'd have to leave him if he couldn't, so it was really important for Gaz's well-being that he could ride. And ride he did. We all set off in search of Genghis Khan, Big Mick, and his mate Craig, aka Strange. They must have been somewhere up ahead, oblivious to what had happened to our mate Gaz the giant man baby. And when we finally did catch up with the boys, that's when it gets complicated. So do try and keep up. You see, boys and girls, after Genghis Khan dropped his bike in that creek crossing, the oil in his little Honda 250 was beginning to look like a caramel milkshake. Now that was a little concerning for Genghis Khan, so he wanted to peel off track and head to the nearest town for oil. Gaz the giant man baby also wanted to head into town because he needed painkillers. Now Brendo, Rocket and I decided to stick with our lead rider, while Santiago, Andres, Big Mick and Craig would stick to the track and head straight to Rathdowney. The team was split once again, and the way things were looking for us, Santiago and the boys would arrive at Rathdowney way before us. Although, like I've said many times in the past, anything can happen on an adventure ride. I was just happy we made it past the closed bridge. So look out, Kyogle, here we come.
I got the world's most expensive oil. From Modal something or other.
Yeah, Modal's good.
$40 a litre.
Wow. How many litres you got?
Why did you get 2?
So here we were heading to tonight's destination, the Big Grieg caravan park just outside of Rathdowney. Gaz now had his painkillers in the form of a bottle of bourbon, and Genghis Khan had the world's most expensive oil for his Honda 250. Had he arrived in Kyogle only moments earlier, he could have purchased it from the motorcycle shop, but they'd closed early, so instead he was forced to buy it from the chainsaw shop. Wow, they really saw him coming. So here we were at that magic hour in the afternoon when the lighting was perfect, and we were riding the famous Lions Road, the road that links New South Wales with Queensland. And before we knew it, we'd arrived at the Big Riggin Camping and Caravan Park, located in the scenic rim approximately 90 minutes from Brisbane and the Gold Coast. 100 acres of high hilltops and gentle river flats, surrounded by national parks. Perfect place for a night of camping. Incidentally, by the time we arrived, Gaz could barely get off his bike. In fact, he could barely walk. He was definitely going to need help with his setup. But where was Santiago, Andres, Big Mick and Craig? They should have been here way before us. Well, I did tell Santiago to stick with us, but do you think he listened? Apparently they hit 3 dead ends in the bush, couldn't find their way through to Rathdowney, had to turn around, head back to Kyogle and ride back the same way we did. You see, it pays to stick with our lead rider, Bingus Khan.
So you didn't get the boys that are going to put your tent up in an ice cream, just yourself?
This is what you call friendship.
All the people at the pub said how good of friends are they? I said, I hope they're good friends.
I ain't setting up tent for Gary because he's got a sore leg.
Gary, Gaz is half the man he used to be. He's got a sore leg, a sore arm.
So I don't care about my arm anymore. I smacked down 3 extra strength Panadols and 3 Nurophens. Now I'm going to have some bourbon.
You've just arrived. What's the story? Why didn't you come with me?
Because Andres want to go with them.
I told you, just come. We're going into the town.
Let's go
So
with
what
Wayne,
happened?
Andres.
What
No,
happened?
Let's go now.
You guys are like an hour late. What happened?
3 dead ends. Thanks to Bing.
Get it before the swelling goes down. Have a look.
I'm not going to show our viewers your filthy leg, Gaz. We'll take a look at Santiago's tent instead.
Show us what you've built there.
Now that the boys were almost ready, we could hit the pub for dinner. However, we would be leaving Gaz behind, and Andres was going to keep him company.
Gaz isn't here. How does that make you feel, Rocket?
Isn't it peaceful?
By the time we returned to camp, we found Gaz being well looked after by Andres. But what about the bloody campfire? This pair had really slacked off and left us in the cold. Not to worry though, Big Mick was up to the challenge. He had a can of instant fire.
Now drop a match in there.
Put it out.
That's enough.
That's enough.
Fucking enough.
Tip the whole thing on.
Ready? Go. Hey! Well done. We always had faith that you weren't going to kill anyone.
I was up early Tuesday morning at the Big Riggin Caravan Park, only to find Gaz gone. He'd apparently just packed up and pissed off in the middle of the night. Our camp, however, still had the usual dramas.
I was expecting some sponsored tires from my...
Sponsor? Scott Payne. That doesn't look good.
Hopefully it's not more drama for us.
Santiago's split tyre was nothing compared to Bing's problems. He had a flat rear tyre to fix. Anyway, once all that was done, we could ride. And the word on the street was that we would be meeting up with Gaz today. He'd buggered off through the night to head to some hospital and was now sleeping in a park in some town up ahead of us.
Seconds after I lay down for a nap. Classic.
So we left Rathdowney and shortly arrived in Boona, the charming country town nestled amongst proud farming history.
Yes, please.
After our breakfast in Boona, we headed to the next town where we picked up Gaz. Apparently he went to the hospital in the early hours of the morning, but it was chock-a-block full of people. So we retired to a park bench and had a nap whilst he waited for us. And our destination today was Kenilworth, a rural town in the Sunshine Coast region of Queensland, Australia, and home to the 1 kilogram doughnut at the Kenilworth Country Bakery. The boys and I might have to get us one of those for breakfast tomorrow morning. So once we picked up Gaz, we headed to Ipswich so a couple of the boys could grab supplies. So whilst Bingus Khan was buying a spare tube for his Honda, Andres was shopping in Anaconda for a new bed. And what about our mate Gaz the Giant Man, baby? How was he feeling today?
100% on yesterday. I had 10% use of it yesterday, I've got about 80% today.
Nice.
I can use my back brake today.
Now we could ride. Well, we could if Andres hurried up. We were off like a dog shut up the bum, hitting the road once again. But let me tell you, it was f***ing hot, and it was getting hotter. I mean, who plans a trip to tropical Queensland in summer? Bingus Khan does. He'll probably organise a Victorian high country trip in winter. So in 40-degree heat, we pushed on. We had a long way to go today in this heat, so it was important to stay hydrated.
Cheers.
Here's to staying awake.
We were now winding our way up the famous Mount Glorious, located in the Diagula Range northwest of Brisbane City. It's home to some of the most spectacular rainforests in the world. And if Gaz moved out of the way, we could check out the views of Lake Wivenhoe. And seeing as we'd just had a 20-metre walk, the boys had worked up an appetite. So we pulled into the famous Mount Glorious Cafe, a true biker's diner. We spent the afternoon riding through some very beautiful farmland before arriving at our destination, Kenilworth, a rural town and locality in the Sunshine Coast region of Queensland. Our digs for the night were at the Kenilworth Hotel, established in 1939. Its original Art Deco style is the perfect place to stop and take in the ambience of a time gone by. Now the only warning I'd give you when staying here is don't leave the keys in your room when you walk out in your undies, because you run the risk of the door locking behind you. Which is exactly what happened to some silly twat.
Just explain why you're wearing my pants, my only
So I
pair
locked
of pants.
myself out and now I have to go downstairs and I have to look respectable. Later that evening, we sat down to a relaxing meal and discussed the advantages and disadvantages of Big Mick riding his KTM 500 on our Tropic Thunder Adventure.
So at the moment, he's loving it 5% of the time and hating it 95% of the time because he's got the wrong tool for this trip.
Yeah, but if he has the right tool, for 5% of the time, he won't be only be hating it 20%, and for the wrong tool, he'll be hating it 100%. For 20% of the time, whereas if he gets the other tool, he'll be hating it 60% of the time, and 20% of the time, he'll only be hating it half as much.
Fun?
What the? Good morning from Kenilworth, Queensland, and what a cracker of a morning it was. We were all up bright and early, eager to attack one of these famous Kenilworth Country Bakery 1 kilogram doughnuts. Hell, we'd been talking about this all morning. So imagine our disappointment when we found out the 1 kilogram doughnuts weren't ready.
You're looking for the 1 kilo donut.
Andreas and Santiago are having pies and donuts for breakfast.
Oh, how can you eat a pie for breakfast?
Can't believe we've split from the group.
Isn't that a Bolivian breakfast, though?
Is Bing awake? Has anyone seen Bing?
No, hopefully he's still alive.
He'll come out and go,
He died.
right.
He died overnight.
He'll come out at 8 o'clock all geared up. We'll have already eaten.
So it is only 10 past 7. Oh, that's hilarious. No one thought of him.
I was even counting the chairs going,
I did say there's 8 of us, but I don't know how many's coming, but I never thought about were they awake.
Is he normally sleeping?
Good morning.
No. No, he's normally up.
Well, we're having breakfast and I just realised you were missing. we sat in front of the donut shop for bloody 10 minutes waiting for it to open, but the donuts don't get served till 9, so half us are over at the cafe across the road and half us are over at the donut shop eating normal sized donuts.
We're not geared up.
We're in shorts and t-shirts. Hey, I thought of you.
I'm ready to go.
Brendo's a bit warm now.
We're at coffee stage, we just ordered dinner. Actually, we haven't ordered breakfast yet.
What room is he?
So,
He's next to me.
he's in bed.
Poor Bingus Khan, our lead rider. We'd forgotten all about him. You want a big breakfast or a light breakfast, Bing?
I want nothing to do with you guys.
Our bellies were full and it was time to fill up our bikes and ride. Our fearless leader Bingus Khan, you know, the bloke we forget about when we head off for breakfast, had a full day of fun dirt trails planned for us. Some of those trails being quite a challenge. Plus I'd also have the opportunity to talk to a local about yowies. And I'm fairly positive after our conversation that he too became a firm believer in Australia's Bigfoot. And this particular local would send us on a magnificent trail that would take us to today's destination. A town with rich history, brimming with real country charm. I'm talking about the small country town called Linville. But we had to get there first. And like I said, we had a big day ahead of us. And once we took this dirt road, I must say, things escalated fairly quickly. Especially when bada boom bada bing, Bingus Khan, our fearless leader, had us riding some single trail. This is how it always begins, my fellow adventure riders. You take an innocent trail and then all of a sudden it heads down into a valley. A valley that you know you're going to have to climb out of. And so it was on this beautiful Wednesday morning that we found ourselves following the one and only Bingus Khan. Let's not forget our bikes are fully packed for accommodation and camping, so they're as heavy as they can get. So here we were, just like day one, riding our heavy bikes on an enduro track. And we all know how that turned out. So needless to say, we were starting the morning with a solid workout. I'm certainly glad I ate a big breakfast back at Kenilworth. You always need to fuel your body so that you're ready for anything, especially when you ride with the crazy crew. And let's not forget how hot it is. It might be early in the morning, but this is Tropic Thunder. Here we go, my fellow adventure riders. We're all starting to bunch up. We must be starting the climb out. Well, either bada boom bada bing, Bingus Khan on his Honda 250 will be up in front, or it'll be Big Mick on his mighty KTM 500. But if either of those guys are having trouble, well, there's no hope for us. Bloody hell, the things I do to catch all the action. Walking in enduro boots is hard enough, but climbing a big ass hill, well, that's just asking too much. Anyway, it appears the boys are trying to help Bingus Khan, so clearly our fearless leader hit this hill first. Now the big question is, are they going to try and drag the bike up, or will we turn around? Well, to find out, you'll have to wait for episode 4, so hit the like and subscribe button whether you like the video or not, because I'm artist Wayne Dowsent, and this is Tropic Thunder! Queensland Invasion.